tutor. I'm a studio arts major here at Lincoln University. I've been focusing on museum studies as well as graphic arts as well, and and mass communications. Just to give me a little background on myself as an artist, I have backgrounds in drawing, ceramics, printmaking, three-dimensional design, two-dimensional design, and most recently graphic design. Graphic design kind of became a passion of mine as well because it ties into my love of mass communications and my dream to one day become a fashion director of a major magazine publication. That's my short-term goal, however, is to attend the Fashion Institute of Technology because they have a global fashion management program. I think will give me a broader idea of help me understand the world better and understand how you can marriage fashion and art with cultural identity. And this kind of pushed me into my actual senior project and what I was contemplating what I'm going to do. I decided to do a magazine because it's great prep work and it's going to look great on my portfolio. But my magazine is a fashion magazine, and I try to incorporate as many different diversities as possible. The name of the magazine is entitled Eccentric. I felt that word was quintessential in terms of my style. It's kind of eclectic, but at the same time, I like to make sure that you can see the beauty in all things. The magazine would target minority demographics, 16 to 28 years old. Most publications on newsstands now, unfortunately, there is no real demographic towards minorities when it comes to fashion magazines. Most minority targeted magazines are actually lifestyle magazines and not fashion magazines, so I thought it would be a unique niche for my future magazine in the world. My senior project, I decided to create this fashion style magazine, and Eccentric is a monthly fashion and style publication whose purpose is to provide today's modern, edgy, and sophisticated consumer with news on current trends and styles, ideas in fashion, health, and beauty. Its tagline is "Know the trend, start your own." My senior seminar allowed me the opportunity to create my own vision for this magazine. Just to speak briefly on the actual composition, the issue is 44 pages in total, which includes advertisements, feature articles, and editorials. I wanted to make sure that I incorporate all these different elements because in the real magazines, you have to have all these different elements. The features are the meat, is what is the substance of the magazine. Advertisements are like the garnish. They help not only draw on the reader, but pay for the magazine as well. All the images that I created in my magazine are very extensive to create. Each page takes about 2 to 3 weeks because the images have to be color corrected, warped, blended. I also consider like juxtaposition of shapes, understanding, what I'm trying to sell. Each advertisement, for example, for each plan, I had to sit down first, create a business, think about what this business is for, what's its function. For example, one of my advertisements is Premier Amateur Hair. It's basically a hair care company. So its mission is just to provide young women with beautiful, luxurious hair. So when I thought about it as an advertisement, like who are they trying to sell it to? I have to understand that Eccentric is a fashion magazine for minorities. So I thought that the models in the actual advertisement should represent as diverse a group as possible. Also going into the features, each feature, again, I had to compose each article that's about 4 pages in the book, in the actual magazine, and if you're writing a paper for a class, that would translate to about 6 to 7 pages, because you have to cut out like double spacing, the margins change, the font size actually changes smaller in print magazines. So all these things are taken into account. It's kind of an extensive process, And because of my obsessive compulsive disorder, this actually started 24 pages and ended up with 44 because as each issue or each feature grew, I wanted to make sure there was a right amount of advertisements and that each feature, each advertisement flows. Because you don't want to put advertisements or stories next to each other that just make the reader guess why they're doing this. You don't want to confuse the reader. You just want to make sure that they have a nice flow and they're getting all the information that they wanted and that they were enticed by when they looked at the cover. When designing my magazine, the first thing I did take care of were advertisements. Then I went into the features, the smaller features, which were like 1 to 2 pages. Then I went into the bigger editorials, which were 4 to 7. The last thing I worked on was the table of contents because, again, I wanted to make sure that the flow of the magazine was appropriate and aesthetically pleasing. The last thing I worked on was the cover, which you see before you. The cover of any magazine is kind of its calling card because they have to compete with every other issue that's on the stands. When you look at magazines, it's like a whole bunch of colors and shapes and stuff in your house, so it has to be something that's dynamic. And one of the issues in my issue, the major story was a designer. Her name is Sophia Ainsworth, and she went on this trip, this kind of pilgrimage in Ethiopia, and she discovered actually trying to get into the culture and understanding the relationship between religion and Ethiopian culture. And I tie that in with actually another course that I'm taking where I'm working with the African Art Collection, and they have Coptic crosses. So I incorporated that into the magazine. I said that she was inspired by these Coptic crosses and the imagery of the ceremonies, as well as other artifacts and other symbolism that comes up in Ethiopian culture when it deals with Christianity. This is basically the format of how I went through designing each ad. As you can see, as I create the company, bring some product, come up with an ad campaign, design the ad, create the ad images, and all the major little touches to it to make sure that everything looks believable. If you notice my whole magazine, every single model in there are dolls, and I decided to use dolls because I thought I wanted to make commentary on actually how mass media works today. Besides dolls, like they're artificial, they come in the same basic package. The only thing that seems to be changing recently is the colors of the skin tones, and that's just about it. I wanted to use dolls in the magazine because in society today, there's this glorified standard of what beauty is. And when we're young, the first thing a little girl would get or would wish to get is a Barbie doll, and she has unrealistic proportions. If she was this was just a clip that I found, if she was a real person, statistics show that 2 Barbie dolls are sold every second somewhere in the world. If you met Barbie as a human being, she would stand 5 feet 6 inches, weigh nearly 120, and have the measurements 38, 18, 34. As you can see, someone with these measurements is not walking around. When I asked myself, like, looking deeper into why did I pick dolls and talking about the epitome of beauty, that's where I came up with the title, The Real Issue. And the real issue, have we lost our identity by living by other people's standards? The reality of the state of the majority aesthetic made me wonder why the image of Barbie is so immortalized and glorified. In today's modern society, looking back at history, the following trends have grown over the years. If you look back at classical art, the major patrons of art were wealthy men, and art was created for their aesthetic. So if you think about it, I just pulled up some images of it. Sorry. That's great. I just pulled up 2 pictures for basically basically, if you look at classical art, they have images of females, and they're usually demure. At the time, a demure lady was considered the epitome of beauty, but that still doesn't detract from the fact that they use nude models, and whatever pose they're in, it's still that concept in your head, like, why do they have to be nude? Can they be clothed or stuff like that? And if you think about it, this trend hasn't changed over the years. Women wear high heels, past they've worn corsets, restricting bras, all these different things are clothes or things that we've done to ourselves in terms of using makeup that's damaging to our skin, hair products that's damaging to our hair. All of these things are to make us look more pleasing to the male aesthetic, to the male eye. Sorry. Basically, this trend hasn't changed in modern history. Whether you believe it or not, advertisements are our art. In the past, art was made so that not only, everybody couldn't read, but everyone could look at a picture and try to interpret it, try to understand it, try to find out what the story is. Advertisements, they exist not only to sell us a product, but also to tell us a story. So, in that same context, I look back at the classical figures and females, and I try to understand, why would they use these females? But at the same time, advertising companies are smart because they know that, okay, a woman who wants to be appealing to a man, so let's sell her a product to show her that she's sexy. And these ads are supposed to tell us that if we emulate and copycat what they do in the actual advertisements, then men will see them the same way that they are